Primal Pursuit is a game about escaping from a dinosaur. Pretty simple, right? But what if I told you this game has lore? Well, this commenter thinks so. So I delved into each part of Primal Pursuit to put together the lore of this game. Let's get into it. An American company created by an unnamed man, Kingdom Cybernetics, was put together as an electronics company. Very popular throughout the years, him and the head of science also had another ambition: living, breathing dinosaurs. With money from their electronics company, they hired a paramilitary for internal security. However, they secretly seized a site within a canyon in southwestern USA. Now in control of an area of valuable resources, they proceeded to set up the area for temporary settlement. During the development of the canyon site, another area was found with what seemed like a cave formation that emitted a glowing yellow light. With further inspection, they found powerful crystals that could power an entire village. With this new tech, miners were hired and sent to this area to harvest this crystal. Using scientific research and engineering advancements, they were able to create a generator using this crystal. Whilst all this happened in the background, Kingdom Cybernetics was still seen as the electronics company everyone went to for PC parts, mobile phones, etc, etc, etc. However, some questions and suspicions were raised when they announced their paramilitary for quote-unquote security. However, they dismissed these questions with the same point of security. Despite this controversy, they were able to keep their activities in the canyon private. Now with a power source, they would continue their ambitions in an area further north. As their double-sided business continued to grow, their engineering advancements led them to an area in North America for dinosaur fossils. To get access to this area, they gave the excuse that it would be a mine for copper and gold. This would make sense to the CEO, as they were an electronics company and needed resources for products, and electronic products need copper to work. However, their true intentions were fossils and amber. Their site was set up by a cavern rich with fossils of all kinds of dinosaurs, with an environment similar to the Arctic further north. They would call their paramilitary over to the site for protection, and continued their work on the site, uncovering fossils of dinosaurs like T-Rex, Brontosaurus, and even other prehistoric animals like Dinosuchus. They would store these fossils in containers by the helipad, so they would be ready to be extracted. If they were to find amber, they would store in an amber extraction facility and extract. Now that they had dinosaur DNA, they would make a shipyard by an underwater lake where they would transport their DNA through ship to a tropical island they bought recently. On that island, most of the fossils would be stored in the dockyard along with food, construction resources and more. With their resources and crystals, they created an underground lab that had giant tubes for the dinosaur embryos. However, they discovered that, within the forest, there were people living there. Not tribal, however, just people visiting the island. In order to keep their actions private, they imprisoned the people on the island and made them quote-unquote disappear. With their problems gone, they continued their actions. As their dinosaurs grew, they would be released into the island, away from the dockyards. Although it seems like they were just making a man-made ecosystem, the heads of the company had different intentions. Military dinos. They first tried this with metal dinosaurs, but the plan was scrapped and the metal dinosaurs were forgotten. The heads were more focused on the actual dinosaurs. However, after they finished their planning on how to train the dinos, disaster struck with dinosaurs rampaging the dockyards. Obviously, the heads were scared as they were stuck on the island, with their only protection being a small paramilitary. The CEO of the company would order the paramilitaries at the canyon and cavern to go to the jungle site immediately. When they arrived, it became a bloodbath, with both the dinosaurs and paramilitary taking casualties. The CEO and the head of science, still stuck in the underground lab, ordered an emergency shutdown, which left a few paramilitary troops stuck amongst other workers like miners and researchers. Eventually, the paramilitary ended up escaping or fleeing, which left the dockyard abandoned, along with other sites. In the front scene of Kingdom Cybernetics, they were struggling to make up an excuse for the disappearance of many paratroopers, which caused many lawsuits and the eventual dissolving of the company. due to financial reasons. To this day, nobody knows what happened after the disaster of Kingdom Cybernetics years ago. Their sites are closed down with the United States military guarding the areas. It is rumoured that a few survivors are being made to investigate the area for the now bankrupt CEO of Kingdom Cybernetics, as he and the former head of science continue their creation of man-made beasts. Although the law of Primal Pursuit seems straightforward, many of the gaps I had to fill were some by headcanon, like the locations and the supposed disaster at the jungle site. So don't take this video as being completely legit, because a lot of gaps are filled with stuff with no or slight evidence. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Bye bye!